Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ozone Talks, part of the Pinnacle Academy, where we dive into innovation, expertise, and a real-world experience driving into the future of water treatment. Today's conversation is about service, what it takes to keep high-performance ozone systems running reliably, and why and how it sets Pinnacle above the rest. We're going to talk about our PinnacleCare. I'm joined by two of the people behind this commitment. We have Chandler Bobo, who is our service manager, who leads our field operations maintenance and our technical support. And then we got Mandy Rogers here, who's our employee and client relationship manager, who helps with our customer relationships, keeping them strong and helping support the system through. Thank you so much, both of you guys, for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so let's get started. I want to talk about the PinnacleCare. I know PinnacleCare is something that we've developed over the past few years, and we've kept on building on this. So Chandler, just more big picture, let's get started on what does the PinnacleCare mean? Beyond the brochure, I know everyone has access to the PinnacleCare, but how does this shape the way we approach our service?
So PinnacleCare gives you access to our team and the abilities to get a hold of us when you have a problem or situation or even a basic question, that we will be there to work through any of the dilemmas you have coming up with your equipment or get you the proper recommendations for anything you have coming forward.
Okay. And in terms of the PinnacleCare section, can you just quickly explain the different, or like what PinnacleCare is in terms of the packages?
We have a warranty that comes with the machine for the first year, and then we take two flagship levels of PinnacleCare, which I do not know what they are right this second. So our essential plan basically is a plan that is a starting point for everyone with their systems. It's typically once a year we come out and look over the equipment and make sure that everything's working. It comes with remote monitoring if you select that option. And then we try to do thing that's needed via the customer remotely. If we need to help them look through a situation or problem, we're there to help them support that as well as on the telephone if that's required. So if you want to step up to the Paramount plan is basically a customizable plan that is created to benefit your facility or your needs with your equipment, so that we are there to make sure all the maintenance is completed, taken care of on a timely fashion, and make sure all the calibrations and the equipment is up to the best running standards possible for it, and catch any of the maintenance items that need to be done or problems that are futuristic to come up before they happen. So you guys have the utmost perfect runtime and no downtime at all.
Okay. And how do the service plans support like the full cycle of a system? Like how many years do you envision the ozone system to last? And do you normally tack this on a yearly basis, or is this something that is just done once the unit or system is purchased? Can you explain that a little bit?
So what we try to do is we try to get a service contract established with the machine as they purchase it. And then we come yearly to look over the machine, and there's a continual contract that is then signed up with the customer. And sometimes the customers take on more of the maintenance responsibilities. Sometimes they take on less. So then we adjust the contract accordingly to work with them on what their team wants to do. But we usually try to get a service contract signed for each year for the life of the machine. Pinnacle's been in business for 16 or so years now, and I'm still working on the first machine that is currently working. Wow. So we have product out there, and we don't see that there's any problems with the product or any life expectancy to cause an issue. I'd say we have 25 to 30-year machines plus with the standards of how we build our equipment and the way we maintain it.
Oh, wow. So, Manny, a quick question for you is, so you have like a unique view where you get in touch with the team in terms of Chandler setting up service, but you get to understand the customer side as well. How would you describe the service mindset that we have at Pinnacle? How does a project move forward? If you could explain that section to us a little bit.
Well, I would say that my responsibility would definitely be to take care of the customer. The service mindset is take care of the customer first. Chandler is our mastermind, our expert in the field. My role is to take care of the customer and make sure that Chandler gets in touch with them and ensure that the customer has clear communications. Sometimes there's an emergency and we have to have our service team there within 24, 48 hours, and that takes a lot of coordination. So that is my role, and to make sure that the customer is treated and responded to quickly and as well as possible.
Yeah, you say that we expect service items to come up. When someone does call in and say they do have an issue, what is normally your protocol to get either Chandler or another service tech at location? How fast can you get someone out there, and what is the protocol that normally takes place?
The Pinnacle team is not just Chandler and myself. So if Chandler is at another customer site, we do have a team of professionals here. Our engineering staff, our president is very hands-on. We have a lot of people that can help with questions and problem solving quickly. And as soon as I can get Chandler's availability, he is then incorporated in all the conversations. So basically, my role would be to send out the APB to all of our team, because it is a beautiful thing when our team comes together. Our operations director from our logistics person, we all come together and try to help the customer as quickly and as fast as possible.
So let's jump on to more of the startup and commission. Now our customers understand like our protocol, like, okay, we have these different packages. Once the system is sold, we can provide you with PinnacleCare. If the situation does come up, we have a whole team to come down and do service. But a lot of times people ask us about the startup and commissioning. So question for Chandler, we talk about startup, we talk about commissioning being critical milestones. What is the Pinnacle process? How do we actually get a system dialed in? What do we do prior to the startup? And then what do you have to do to ensure that it's completely smooth when you get to location?
So some of our customers have different processes that we all work with. So we have to go through with each customer, make sure we have oxygen that is clean, cool, and dry is our biggest component to making ozone. So we have to start at the beginning of what feeds the ozone system to then generate ozone. And then we also have to look at our machine to make sure it's been installed properly. We have to make sure all the stuff is hooked up wiring-wise properly as well. And then we have to go through a startup procedure on the site to commission and make sure all that stuff is configured the same way we had it configured at the office when we tested the machine before it went out to the customer, to then prove that it is at the same standards as what we've done at the office and meets the requirements and expectations of the customer on the site. But that also ensures that we are able to put a warranty on the system if all the requirements are met, or if we find deficiencies in, say, the plumbing or the electrical stuff, that stuff has to be corrected at the time so that the warranty can be established on the machine. So that's why startup and commissioning is so important on the machines, to make sure that the machine is ready for a long life ahead of itself, getting everything there established and ready for it.
So in terms of the startup concept, before the system arrives at the customer's location, does the service team spend time with the unit when it's in the shop or in the manufacturing phase to help with QA/QC? What does the service team do when the system is currently at our location before it ends up at the customer site for startup?
If we do have time in our schedule, which sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, we do try to participate in the office on trying to help with that stuff, as we have a lot more experience of the field connection side of things versus what they do in the office. So we do try to reach out and help, or scheduled for certain projects that are a little more extensive than normal ones. So we do try to lend a hand with that procedures in the shop and make sure everything meets the criteria. But we do have people in place at the office to take care of that as well.
And to add a note there, one of our mechatronics technicians, Mo Ali, is on the service team, and he is one of the key leaders in the production team as well. So when he is not on a service call, he is also in the shop. So he gives our perspective to the production floor as well. So right before it is shipped off, he is going through the process of startup their production floor as well. And he is a key member of the service team.
And do you think that is one of the reasons why we have successful startups, is that our service team has been or part of the manufacturing system as well? Or do you think that we've now had so much experience doing startups that now we know what to expect when we get to a customer's location? Can you walk me through what actually we do on our side to make sure that a service startup is done correctly?
So I would say yes to all of your questions you had there, as we do have people that have worked in the shop, worked in the field, had engineering that's done the same with working in the shop or working in the field. But on top of that, with us having our abilities on both sides of things and seeing different perspectives, we have a very extensive checklist that we go through, that we have to go through and make sure we check off boxes. I write notes down of things that I've found that need to get corrected, or any kind of inefficiencies or situations that we've found when the machine was there. If it comes to damage from shipping or any of that stuff like that, we notate all that stuff down, take pictures, get everything documented. So that is the starting point of the warranty and the installation.
Absolutely. We are part of the ISO, 9000, 2015, I believe, is what we are. And there's complete travelers that follow the equipment from start to finish. And that is, I believe, what Chandler was alluding to there. And so, yes, we follow the full ISO checklist. And then again, there's a startup checklist for on-site service and commissioning as well.
So, man, you say you do spend some time, like you talked about the ISO 9001 to 2015 that we follow. How important do you think it is to create an initial relationship with the customer for long-term success? Do you spend time understanding, talking to the customer prior to the system arrives? Like, when do you get involved with talking to the customer to make sure that the service goes well, but everything else is set up correctly as well?
My role as client services manager entails more than just the service team. It is part of the sales team as well. So I am involved with initial customer conversations, making sure that our relationship and the communications are open. But we're here to support the entire journey. And we're here from beginning to end. So it's important to start those conversations.
Cool. Perfect. Thank you. So if you guys are okay, let's move on to more of the field and real world problem solving section. So Chandler, you've been on site for doing multiple startups and also troubleshooting missions. Can you just tell us a story of like what the service team brings to the table? Like, what do you normally do at a startup? I mean, even a startup or even just at a service call. Can you explain to me step by step on what you actually do? An example, let's just say we have a unit that's 10 years old and you're going to be doing service. Can you explain that section to us?
So first thing I do is I get on site, I meet with the customer, and we go over their system and any inefficiencies they have or any problems they don't understand. And we work on trying to diagnose those on top of looking at all the components inside the machine and around the machine that's associated with it to make sure that everything's within its service parameters or if it needs to be addressed. So then we come up with a whole list, go over with the customer after we find what we found. It's not repairable. So we would go over the list, show them what needs to be taken care of, and then we'd also show them what they need to have for spare parts on hand or other stuff to make sure that they are ready for any other things that are to come and be ready for that. So not only do we work with the customer on what their problems are and what they need to do, but we also ask them each time they come out, do they need any help with training or going over different situations and stuff that are involved with operating a machine, or if they have a new person to their staff, do we need to work with them on getting them up to speed of what the other people know? So we bring that to the table any of our service calls when we go out. So we're always there to support the customer and make sure that they're taken care of.
Perfect. And so I know like Pinnacle is well known for its modular ozone generators. Do you think the modular approach helps with service as well? Like, does it reduce the amount of time that you have to spend on a service call on the ozone generators? What is your background or your recommendation in terms of the modular approach that Pinnacle uses?
So I've never really dealt with the older school technology, glass and tube cell and transformer machines, but from what I've experienced with talking with our customers, they would have to have a backup machine that would be down for quite some time, weeks to months, for while they were trying to refurbish those. And getting parts was getting hard for them. So that was what led them to push to go into the Pinnacle modular technology, was that the minimal down and that a module can be shut off or removed and sent out for repair and the rest of the machine still be able to run, is why I think a lot of our customers are reaching to Pinnacle technology for our great abilities.
And how, like, in terms of the ozone generator itself, removing a cell and replacing it, what is the time that it normally takes to replace that? And can the system still be running when that is taking place? Can you explain the process of that cell removal?
To follow lockout, tagout procedures and proper protocols, the machine will need to be shut down and saved off as there's high voltage energy inside of it. So we'd have to go through lockout procedures. We'd have to go through draining the glycol loop in the machine. And typically this can be done in about 15 to 40 minutes, depending on how big the machine is and what has to be done with draining it. And then the system is able to be run without that cell in place. We could put plugs in place to block up that spot of the cell. Or if the customer has spare cells there, or if they've pre-ordered refurbished shell for their one that is having an issue, we can take care of placing that in place when we're there on site. So there's plenty of options available for them when we do come on site or come to diagnose a situation, depending on what they've selected previously before we get there.
Okay. And what other service components are required to be serviced inside the ozone generator? Is there a monthly schedule that needs to, or yearly schedule that needs to be followed for the ozone generator? Or is it more on the oxygen prep and the injection device?
So an ozone machine relies on a lot of other things to be successful with making ozone for a long time. So basically, you have to feed it clean, cool, dry oxygen. If you're not doing that and you have any kind of particulates or water or vapor or anything or high dew point, you're going to have problems with building up stuff inside the generators. So it'll coat the inside of the cells, and then the cells will have to be sent out, or the generator will have to be sent out to be cleaned and other stuff like that. So we try to make sure everything stays maintained upstream of the ozone generator. And then also inside the generator, there's mass flow meters, mass flow controllers, you got pressure transducers, you got solenoid valves that are actuated, temperature probes. So all those things need to be looked at, make sure that they don't have any leaks coming across on that stuff. We also have glycol running through the machine, so we need to make sure that we have proper insulation on stuff and no sweating causing condensation to drip in the machine. So we go through and look at all these different variables and make sure that all that's taken care of. So depending on where the machine is or how the customer's facility is, sometimes we can get away with them 1 time a year. Sometimes we have to come 2 to 4 times a year, depending on what's going on with the customer and how much they want everything inspected and taken care of.
And Manny, in terms of the customer viewpoint, when a service call is completed, do we get in touch with the customer? Do we give them a report? Like, what is your process that you normally follow once Chandler has visited with the customer?
Yes, especially if the customer's equipment is having a malfunction of any sort. I'm definitely there to provide quick and clear communications, what to expect. And I just think it's super important to keep in touch with them even after the follow-up, to do a follow-up. So
He's really good at that.
I'm just really trying to build that relationship, and I want them to feel free to contact us even if they don't think they have an issue, but they have a concern. It's important for us to just touch base with them and possibly give them a little bit of insight as to what anything might be. So I want more communication rather than less. So we just continue.
Do most customers keep like a certain amount of spare parts at their location so they can switch them out? Or do we keep spare parts? Like, what is normally the process that you tell customers to keep on their side of things?
Mandy, I'll answer that one for you. What we try to do is we have a lot of customers that can't have machines that have downtime. So we try to have spare parts on hand. And if we can't make it out in the short fashion time they need to be back up and running, we can typically instruct some of the customers that have capabilities on their teams to be able to put the parts in. If they don't, we are there trying to be there as soon as possible to get them back up and running. So we recommend having spare parts on hand, and we're trying to go through all of our customer list and get spare parts list to them to make sure that they have the stuff on hand, as we've noticed some issues with the tariffs and everything causing issues with parts supplies and other things right now. So we're trying to get the customers ahead before they have long lead times on parts if they have any downtime. So we're really trying to reach out and get ahead on that for everyone.
Okay. It's very frustrating when a customer really needs our support, but we are held up or bottlenecked due to the long lead times of parts. So yes, the spare parts have been crucial to helping our customers quickly.
Yes. Okay, so moving on to more from going to, now we've already talked about startup, we've talked about the communications. Let's talk about once the startup is completed, what is the online troubleshooting and remote capabilities that we have? So in terms of online troubleshooting, how much work do we actually do when we're not on site? Like how often do we actually log into a customer system or alarms and alerts that do come up? How do we handle those?
So if the customer is elected to have that plan and has the connection abilities in the machine and has remote set up for us, we can log in whenever the customer is having an issue. We can see the HMI screen, and we can see pretty much all the electronics that are connected to the network there. So if they have a PLC issue or a generator issue or any of the other stuff like that, we can start looking in and diagnosing before we get on site to help us figure out what needs to be taken care of if we can't fix it on the computer. Basically, we're as capable as having someone there in person, but without their hands touch the machine, is how good our remote connection is with our equipment, as long as everything is working as it's planned and supposed to. Some of our customers have us check in daily on the machine. Some of them have weekly, some of them have monthly. So we try to build the foundation of that to how they feel they need to have someone looking over, as they're used to seeing the machine work every day, but they'd like to have someone look over their shoulder to make sure the machine is doing exactly what it's supposed to. It's just double check on their side of things. So that's what we offer to them. Mandy's able to put packages together and get that information sent out. And as soon as the service is done and looked at, she sends a report out to them and lets them know what we found or what's going on with the machine.
Okay, perfect. So Mandy, on terms of your side, like supporting the customer experience, if in terms of troubleshooting, do you see that a lot of times the rural customers are the ones that actually sign up for the online remote services, or do you think it's just dependent on if a customer has, if they're behind like a firewall, then don't have it? Like, do you think a rural setup is a better setup for something like this?
For our rural customers, it's definitely beneficial. I can't say that a lot of people sign up for it, however, due to any kind of governmental regulations and that sort of thing. So we are kind of limited to that. However, remote monitoring is a game changer when it comes to taking care of our customers, especially if they have the spare parts on hand. For instance, I have a monthly remote monitoring for a customer in North Dakota, and we found a little abnormality. Yes, we found something that needed to be addressed. We reached out to them. They did not know that something was happening. So that communication started just because of their monthly remote monitoring. And Chandler did a full, rather than the basic remote monitoring process, he went in and did an overall, a different viewpoint of that and had a long discussion with the customer. The customer realized they needed a new PLC. We got a PLC shipped up to them, and now I believe everything is okay. So it is a game changer.
So I know we touched base a little bit about the PinnacleCare. We have the Essential, we have the Extended, we have the different programs that is connected to this. what differentiates it? I know you said some customers require like a one-time visit, some require a four-time visit a year. What determines what they need? If you could just touch base, like which customer would need a one, which customer would need a four, and like how would you recommend something like that?
So with the experience to that and what we've done over the years, depends on the customer's facility and how the environment the machine lives in. So if it's basically under a lean-to and there's dirt blowing all over it, it's hot and everything else, and I would consider that like the worst environment possible. Like it's not good for the machine's capable of living in that, but you take a lot of the stuff. So if you open the doors, you get dirt inside the cabinet. So we got to clean filters. We got to go through and check things. If there's temperature changes on the cabinet, we get humidity going on. So then we got to address certain things. So, and then on another front of that, so if the customer's in like a clean room style with the machine, then that would typically be probably closer to a 1 year ability. And then the next phase of that to answer the question would be the customer's abilities on helping do maintenance to the system. Are they going to take on any initiatives themselves to do maintenance, or are they going to require us to do all the maintenance to the machine? So we have customers that are on both sides of that with it. So they have a team that's able to take care of that stuff. They call us and request parts. We send them parts and instruct them on how to do stuff if they have questions. And then we have people that call us and go, my machine's broke. I don't know how to fix it. Please come fix it for me. And we get out there and take care of that.
So we do have customers that do have the plan. There's customers that don't have the plan, that if they do want someone to come down to location, we'll schedule them in and have them come, and we'll have our team come down. Is that what I'm getting from this conversation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. So ending on the final section here. So in terms of culture, I think that's one big thing, is that service is probably, if not the biggest, one of our biggest attributes that we like to add on to the Pinnacle name, is that we actually take care of our equipment, and we have systems that are, as you said, 16 years since we've been open. We've had systems as old as that. But in terms of your guys' opinion, how do customers feel about our service element? Like, do they say a lot of, I know you guys talk about it from the service side of things, but is it well received? Do you think there's things that we need to do a little bit better? What are the things that you think are very important to us that the customers feel is necessary from our side of things?
The biggest thing I feel that goes a long ways with any kind of relationship or any type of work you do in life is communication. You got to have communication between the customer and yourself, and make sure that everyone's on the same page to make sure that we're taking care of what we need to on their end and making sure they're getting what they need on their end. It's an equal-sided thing, so they're going to let us know if we need to be out more often, or if we miss something, or what we're looking for, and then we let them know on our side if we found some stuff that needs to be taken care of or other stuff. So we build relationships with people, and most of the people you'll talk with that have Pinnacle Ozone machines love seeing the service department come out and take care of. I've made great relationships with everyone we work with, and I love to go out and see the customers and work with them every day too. So it's something I'm very proud of that I've created and worked on for the years I've been working on it. And I really like working with everyone we get to work with out in the field.
Perfect. Same question for you, Mandy, is what do you see in terms of the same, like, what do the customers like from us?
I think they appreciate the overall communications, service summaries. We summarize after every service visit. We summarize what exactly has happened. Chandler will provide suggestions. I'll follow up on his suggestions just so that a ball is not dropped, so to speak, so that there is ongoing communication. But from the perspective from the owners all the way down to the service department, it's customer first. Pinnacle has a great reputation. We're going to do everything in our power to continue that reputation, high quality and great service.
So this follow-up question, I know you talked about a lot of times customers pick the service plan, or they just ask us to come and service the equipment, and then they add the service plan on. But how would they actually get hold of us? Can one of you guys talk a little bit on the process and how they reach out to us?
Our website has a lot of information on it and also has contact information. Service at PinnacleOzone.com would get you right to me or Mandy as soon as possible. And then there's a phone number on the website. Give that a call, and then it'll go to voicemail if we don't pick it up. So we're here to support you guys and get you all the way to running for years.
Definitely. Call 321-205-1717. My extension is 210. And if I'm not at my desk, my cell phone rings. So you will be taken care of as soon as possible.
Okay.
All right. Thank you both for joining us here. This has been a great behind the scenes into what people can expect from our service team and why we have this big passion behind the PinnacleCare. For everyone that's watching, thank you so much for being part of this episode. You can see our service plans on our website, but also please don't be afraid to join us on LinkedIn or on our websites to see more information. For next time, thank you, everyone. See you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.